Good day. This is Dimitri Lascaris and Rami Yahia for Reason to Resist on February 11th, 2026. We are going to be speaking to you today about important information relating to the unprosecuted associates of depraved pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, one in particular about whom very little has been said in the English language media and in the French media. This story has only begun to emerge. We're going to get into it in some detail and hopefully contribute somehow to bringing this individual to justice. Rami, before we begin, why don't you let us know where you are today and how you're doing?
I'm currently in Bogota, Colombia, but I'll be heading to Cuba soon in order to break the embargo, the fuel embargo, and bring some much-needed aid to the Cuban people.
Well, if you manage to break that on your own, you are my nominee for the Nobel Peace Prize. I know that my voice matters. In any case, thank you for joining us tonight, Rami. You've been doing a lot of work on this story over the past week. And before we get into Rami's findings, just want to remind you all that if you find this video to be informative, please like and share it. Please remember that by subscribing, you can help us to expand the reach of our unapologetic brand of resistance journalism. So Rami, I want to begin just by sharing with people a little bit of the background of how this began. You began to make inquiries into Jeffrey Epstein, certain aspects of Jeffrey Epstein's activities and his connections to Israel, as I recall, last week. And you stumbled upon a document from this massive dump of documents from the Department of Justice. You went looking for it, and that document, which we're going to show to our audience now, alerted you to something that was actually quite important about the story and about which we've heard almost nothing. So let's pull it up on the screen. And what we have here is an email exchange between Jean-Luc Brunel and an individual by the name of Daniel Siad. And the star of our show today is that individual, Daniel Siad. Jean-Luc Brunel, as many of you will know, was a very powerful actor in the French modeling industry who has now reportedly, or some time ago, committed suicide after he was accused of sexually abusing many women, including minors. Now, well before the fall of Jean-Luc Brunel, we're going back now to 2009. A character by the name of Daniel Siad, you can see this at the bottom of the document we have on the screen. This is Saturday, October 17th, 2009, emailed Jean-Luc Brunel and said, "Hello, Jean-Luc, as we agreed, please, if you can send me a written agreement between each other, and my official name on my passport is Amar Siad." And you'll see he gives his date of birth, which redacted. He says he's a Swedish citizen. And so it's quite clear at this point, just reading that email, that there have been discussions going on, we don't know for how long, between Siad and Brunel, who by that point had deep connections to Jeffrey Epstein, that led up to an oral agreement. So now Siad, in October 2009, is asking Brunel to memorialize the oral agreement in a written contract of some kind. Then on October 28th, 2009, the names of the sender and recipient are redacted. In the middle of the page you see, his is bank account from Amar Siad. I think that's a typo. We will pay him 3,000 euros every month for scouting for a 6-month period. On all models we get from him, we will pay him 5% commission on their earnings. I'm preparing a written agreement. You can transfer the money now. So this is, so Brunel is saying to somebody, and we'll get into who that is in just a second, prepare a written agreement. I'm going to send, Amar Siad or Daniel Siad the initial payment of 3,000 euros for the first month. And it's very clear that what he's going to get paid for is scouting of models, right? And so the next email in this chain is from Daniel Siad. And apparently by this point in time, we infer this from the content of Siad's email, that he has received the written agreement. It's been memorialized in writing, and he's thanking Jean-Luc. So even though the names have been redacted, I'm assuming this thing is addressed to Jean-Luc because it starts with, "Thank you, Jean-Luc." And he says, "I see that you keep your words, just like my friend Rashid spoke highly about you. My warmest regards. So now we are on business. I will not disappoint you. You have my Berber Jew's word." So apparently he identifies as a Berber Jew. And then at the very top, you see that Brunel forwards this email chain to Jeffrey Epstein in January 2010. So Rami, before we get into your extensive and very intriguing findings, let's just talk a little bit about this email. First of all, at the time that, I mean, we're going way back here to October 2009. That's where this email chain begins. At that time, where is Jeffrey Epstein, according to your research?
Yes. So Jeffrey Epstein, I believe he was released from prison in June 2009. And the earliest evidence or earliest communications that I was able to find between Jeffrey Epstein and Daniel Siad goes back to May 2009. So at this time, I mean, here in December, Jeffrey Epstein is probably finally out 3 months, 4 months after being out from prison. But this working relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and Daniel Siad goes back to while Jeffrey Epstein is still in custody, although we know that he had work permissions to leave prison to do some work. Now we know what kind of work was being done. It was modeling recruiting.
So it appears from this email chain, if I understand correctly, Rami, that either while Epstein was still serving his prison sentence or just after he got out of prison, Brunel, in some kind of an arrangement with Epstein, engaged this guy, Amar Siad, to quote unquote recruit models for the fee of 3,000 euros per month. Have I got that right?
Precisely. And just to correct, it was July 2009 that Epstein left prison, right? So
Right.
yes, it was quite timely, to say the very least, into when this working relationship started.
So we'll get into what recruiting models means in a second, but what's absolutely clear here is that, Epstein didn't really miss a beat. He didn't waste any time once getting out of prison and returning to the recruitment of models business. So one other document before we explore the broader contours of this important story that I want to share with our audience is this. In the course of your research, Rami, you found something that is described as an unclassified confidential document. And you'll see it's a chart with 3 main columns: the name, date of birth, and the source. And if you go down the list of names, you'll see some prominent names mentioned there: Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, Leslie Wexner, somebody who we found out only yesterday is a suspected co-conspirator of Epstein. And, this is the billionaire founder, fanatically Zionist, principal of Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie and Fitch, and so forth. And he had extensive and unexplained financial dealings with Epstein for large amounts of money. He also bought Epstein or sold to Epstein on terms that are not entirely clear, Epstein's New York mansion. And then we go down the list and you'll see the name of Daniel Siad there in red, and some other recognizable names. What do you think this document is, Rami?
Well, first of all, I only posted one picture, or the first page. There's actually 3 more pages and for a total of 67 names. I didn't share the 2 other pages because they're completely redacted. Whatever you're seeing on the second and third column is pretty much what you have on the second and third page, but the names are also redacted as well. My assumption, based on the common thread between all these names, is that I believe it's an employee list of the people involved in Jeffrey Epstein's operations. First of all, we have the names of powerful people. First of all, we don't notice Jeffrey Epstein's name is not on that list, actually. So the common denominator between all these people should be Jeffrey Epstein. Then you have the names of powerful people that were part of his operation, such as this gentleman from Victoria's Secrets, but also Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, his chauffeur, that happens to be on this list, among Daniel Siad and all these, and his office assistant that was managing his calendar. I believe this is the name of all the employees that were related to Jeffrey Epstein's operations.
I think that's the most plausible interpretation, although we have to be clear here. We're not entirely sure. We're just judging this document on its face and, you know, whatever other information we've been able to glean. So I do want to point out a couple of things. In the lower right-hand corner of this document that you see up on the screen, it says page 1 of 88. So this thing apparently consisted of 88 pages. So we're talking about, if in fact we're correct that this is a list of employees or associates who are involved in so-called model recruitment, or, you know, I think more accurately, you know, trafficking of young women, we're talking about a huge organization. If there's 88 pages of names in this list, and that's what this list is, it is a massive organization and a huge sex trafficking ring spanning the globe in all likelihood. And the other thing I would suggest, although again, I can't say that this is clear from the document, is that this list was compiled by investigators, most likely by the FBI. So they assembled a list of people who were part of this network. And then for reasons that are completely, I mean, I understand why they deleted the source. So, you know, you see in the right-hand column, it says source. They might want to protect their sources. But why they deleted the names of the members of this network, if that's in fact what this is a mystery. And it's very clear, if our interpretation of this document is correct, that they are protecting a hell of a lot of people and many more than 10 or 12 co-conspirators from prosecution. So let's get into some of the nitty-gritty of what you've discovered about this character. What do you understand the overall importance or role of Daniel Siad to have been in the Epstein-Brunel operation?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I started investigating specifically on Daniel Siad around a week ago, specifically because of the variety of documents that I found related to Daniel Siad. First of all, there's the document that you've shown showing payments or a working agreement with Jean-Luc Brunel. Jean-Luc Brunel, who was, under accusations of sex trafficking, among other crimes, and being complicit in the operations of Jeffrey Epstein. And then there's this document as well from an affidavit from Virginia Geoffrey, who says Epstein had bragged of having slept with over 1,000 of Brunel's girls. And when we see this agreement between Jean-Luc Brunel and Daniel Siad, it makes you wonder if any of these thousands of girls that Virginia is referring to could be from Daniel Siad. And then I had found other documents linking Daniel Siad to the someone named Princess Mom, who is someone affiliated to the royalty in Thailand. So when you look at, and his involvement with the Asian Peace Prize, so when you kind of see the diversity of all these documents, it really creates something suspicious that I felt like I really had to investigate and dive deeper. So at an immediate glance, first of all, the job that Daniel Siad had varied from taking around these high-profile government officials to many destinations, right? So through my reporting, through my research, I had found that Daniel Siad was involved with high-profile individuals across the world, from Princess Mom, as I mentioned, Yank Berry, a Canadian businessman who was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, Khaled bin Nasser al-Masned, who is the brother of the former queen consort of the Qatari emir, as well as high management at Hermes. So I went through.
Who's Princess Mom?
Princess Mom is a member of Thai royalty.
Right.
She is the great-great-granddaughter of the King Rama, I believe, of Thailand.
And Siad, as I understand it, based on your research, spent a lot of time in Thailand and seemed to
Yes.
be very well connected there.
Yes, and he was also involved with the Asian Peace Prize. But there's a kind of a storyline that kind of develops over the documents that I found between Princess Mom and Daniel Siad.
Mhm.
So as I mentioned earlier, Daniel Siad, the kind of earliest communication that I was able to find, although I'm only thousands of documents in out of 2,000, so 50% through, the earliest communication that I was able to find or trace back was from May 2009. This is while Epstein is still in custody in prison. So we don't know exactly when they first started getting in touch, but we know that Daniel Siad is probably aware that Jeffrey Epstein is not a free man at this time.
Mhm. Okay. Do you have that document handy? By the way, that May 2009.
The May 2009, I do not have it handy, but I can get access to it.
Okay, let's move on then. So can you tell us, at some point, does it become clear that, because it seems like Brunel is the intermediary between Epstein and Siad, is at some point, does it become clear to you that Epstein and Siad have actually met? And if so, when do you think that happened, or that they've communicated directly? What's your best, information on that, in that regard?
So throughout the documents, Jeffrey Epstein often asks Daniel Siad, "Where are you?" Sometimes it's in Thailand, sometimes it's in Abu Dhabi, Dubai. But I believe in 2010, I was able to find documents where Daniel Siad asks Jeffrey Epstein, "When are you coming to Paris?" Assuming so that they ended up meeting in Paris. And this happens multiple times throughout the year since 2009, 2010, where Jeffrey Epstein is invited to come to Paris, or they meet in New York as well. So, yeah.
So it sounds to me like, clearly then Epstein and Siad begin to correspond and meet directly without intervention or mediation by Brunel. So it sounds like, I guess we're putting the pieces together here, and we're trying to do the best we can with limited information. But that at the time that Epstein was still serving in time in prison, this network was still operating, and basically somehow Brunel was deputized to go out and find at least this recruiter and perhaps others, for Epstein while Epstein was in prison and was able to do the job. This kind of has the stink of these guys conspiring to continue the pedophile and the sex trafficking operation even as Epstein is in prison. Is that the overall impression that you have as well?
Absolutely. And if we look at this screenshot over here, this is between Daniel Siad and Jeffrey Epstein. And if you look at the date, 2nd of June 2009, Jeffrey Epstein left prison in July 2009. "Hello, Jeffrey. I just found an amazing one. She's 20 years old, but she looks younger." What does younger than 20 mean? From Latvia, 5'8". She just did a work campaign for Nivea last weekend, and she'll be doing another campaign for Garnier this week. And again, right, so this talks about the communication and work with, there's a lot of typos in these documents, but refers to him going around the world and recruiting models. And
now,
then,
sorry, just want to point out before you continue, people shouldn't just assume that these ages are accurate. It is entirely possible. I'm not saying that this is the case. I don't know. I don't think Rami knows. It's entirely possible that Brunel and Epstein and Siad adopted a convention of overstating the age in their emails to obviously protect themselves. They adopted the convention of overstating the ages of these young females by, let's say, 5 years or 8 years. So they understood that if somebody was identified as being 20 years old, you were actually talking about a 15-year-old. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying that you would assume that these guys had enough minimal intelligence to take some steps to protect themselves from recording in their internal conversations the fact that they were trafficking in minors. At the end of the day, we don't know whether this young lady from Latvia was actually 20 or younger or older. Again, we're just suggesting this is a possibility that needs to be considered. So
But
please.
also, I'm just curious, while he's on these work releases by the police during his custody, the police never really, or the prison guards never investigated what kind of work he was doing. We have here June 2nd, 2009. He's still in police custody. How is he not being investigated for this type of work? I mean, it's quite suspicious. There's some work you shouldn't be able to do with your criminal records, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I'm no expert in the incarceration system in the United States, but my understanding is, I don't do criminal law in the U.S., but my understanding is that all your communications are monitored, or supposed to be monitored by the prison authorities, and you have no privacy. So how this, how Siad was able to communicate with Epstein about recruiting models who looked younger than 20 without being detected by prison staff, that is a mystery to us, and one that should be explored further. So do you have other emails, by the way, that you can share with us here, Rami, of Siad communicating with either Brunel or Epstein and saying, hey, look, I found this really young, beautiful model, she's great. Do you have other examples of that? I know you found quite a few of those.
I do, but I just wanted to maybe start by showing this, because don't forget that Daniel Siad is also building a networks of models. And he does that by finding it's like a pyramid scheme in some way of model scouts. And this is one over here, which is in July 2010. Daniel Siad tells Jeffrey Epstein, can you call me? I'm with Tigran. Tigran is a Russian model scout, quite famous.
Before you continue, how do you know that? How do you know that Tigran is a Russian model scout?
So he's mentioned multiple times. I believe his full name is Tigran Khashtian, something like that. This is like kind of connecting the dots across the industry, and then we see across the threads the documents. And if we look here at the end, it says he stopped working with IMG and Trump, and we know that Tigran Khashtian, the one that I'm referring to, was working in sending models to Trump. So he recruited Tigran. And then I also have another document showing that Daniel Siad was looking to recruit another model recruiter. His name was model scout. His name was.
Sorry, before you go there, let's just go back, because we kind of skipped over the first half of this email.
Yeah.
So just so people see, Siad says to Epstein in July 2010, can you call me? I'm with Tigran. He would like to meet you. He is here with me in Ibiza with 8 top girls. Notice there's no age, and he refers to them as girls. He said he would like to build something with you. Can you come to Ibiza? We have a huge house, or how can we organize this meeting? Even Jean-Luc could do a great biz also. He has the most amazing top models on standby. I told him not to do any deals with anybody before he met with you. Now, let's just remember here, folks, that this is July 2010, and at this point, Epstein has been convicted and served prison time for sex trafficking a minor. Okay, so these people, despite that fact of which they were undoubtedly aware, are doing everything they can to hook Epstein up with people agents, modeling industry bigwigs who have, lots of quote unquote top girls to put into the service of Epstein. So there's really no excuse here. These people can't claim ignorance, because they are organizing these meetings, doing this networking right after Epstein has finished serving his prison sentence.
And then I have other documents where he facilitates communications between Jeffrey Epstein and Clifford Wright, who is a St. Petersburg, Russia, Miami, USA based model recruiter. And there's another document I would like to show you from an investigation from France 2 that I'll show later on, where it specifically mentions that Daniel Siad was working recruiting 15 and 16-year-old girls, 16 and 17-year-old girls, and then also another one who's 15.
Can we go there now? Is there any reason why we shouldn't have a look at that right now?
Sure, we can.
Okay.
So if we look over here in this,
By the way, when was this this article published and in what platform?
This was published by France 2. France 2. Sorry, it was not this document.
When was that published?
It was published 2-3 days ago.
Okay. So as we said, the French media have begun to cover this story, but to our knowledge, it's been almost ignored or missed entirely by the English language media. So can you summarize this French language document for us, Rami?
Yeah, sorry, this is not the document I was referring to, the 15, 16, 17-year-old girls. This was from a Journal de Montréal article that sources the France 2, referring to these young girls that Daniel Siad was recruiting for Jeffrey Epstein. But we're going to get to the France 2 article soon, and this has also some insane revelations. But also, here's this email between Lena Zhukova, who is a model agency manager, to Daniel Siad saying, "Hello, Daniel, there's these 13 girls are willing to go as hostesses to Abu Dhabi Formula One. That would be great to know the exact dates of the event and how to make visas for them." Now, again, we don't have much understanding around what happened with these 13 hostesses, but when we connect the dots with all the events happening around Formula One in general and how it's a breeding ground for sex trafficking, it really makes you wonder what exactly was Daniel Siad getting involved with in connecting these girls to be hostesses for Abu Dhabi Formula One.
Now, I just want to point out, this woman's name is Lena Zhukova. I can't, confirm that this is, we're talking about the same person, but Rupert Murdoch's wife is named Elena Zhukova, and she's a retired Russian biologist. Do you have any information about who this Lena Zhukova is?
I didn't have the time to dive specifically deeper into Lena Zhukova, but my understanding, because I see her name appear multiple times, I believe she's part of a model recruitment agency in either Latvia or Russia.
But so do you have any knowledge or any sense one way or the other whether the Lena Zhukova referred to in this email is Rupert Murdoch's wife? Do you have any knowledge about that? Any information?
I do not have any information about that, but I could investigate deeper.
Okay. So let's move on then. And you have some other interesting findings relating to Daniel Siad. Apparently, he was a fan of Woody Allen.
Yes. So in 2014, there's an email thread here that says that Daniel Siad gives the phone number to Jeffrey Epstein of most likely of a girl, and then there's a response to it which says, "Would you like me to contact her again today?" And then Jeffrey Epstein says, "Yes, see if she's free on Monday to screen Woody's next movie and maybe Sunday night dinner with Woody." So it seems like they are trying to bring a girl over to basically entertain Woody Allen.
This is in November 2014.
Precisely, yes.
Right. At which point Woody is still married, I believe, to his adoptive daughter, if I'm not mistaken. The daughter who was adopted when he was with Mia Farrow. In any case, then you have sorry, go ahead.
There's another screenshot that was interesting, which is from Daniel Siad, who says, "Hello, Jeffrey. There's a girl from the girl is in New York." And he talks about scouting in Stockholm, and then he says, I process, because sorry, it's just difficult to read because of the typos. I process, you'll be surprised. It's just they just finished they just fish schools and universities. This is the best place for scouting. But the agencies are afraid that I take all their models, but I would never take from agencies, and the ones who never modeled before are my favorites. So he talks about how scouting girls from schools and universities are the best, and that girls who do not have modeling experience are his favorites.
Right.
I wonder why. Could it be because they don't know about the etiquettes of modeling? They can be blown away with these with false promises, and then universities
don't understand how predatory the modeling industry is. They haven't had a chance to figure that out, maybe.
Yeah.
By the way, when he says that this is the best place, where exactly was that? I just saw that a moment ago.
It's
this is the best place for scouting. He may mean schools and universities are the best place for scouting. That's entirely possible. He may also mean Paris, or he may mean Parisian schools and universities. Who knows? But in any case, one thing I noticed about this, now we're into June 2014, Rami, right? So at this point, his relationship begins with Brunel and Epstein no later than 2009. So this is somebody who had, at least a 5-year recruiting relationship with Epstein. Now, what else? Before we turn to the larger other aspects of his activities and his services for Epstein, what else can you tell us about his recruitment of young females?
Well, then there's this screenshot that it becomes a lot more explicit. And you could tell a bit what kind of dynamics Jeffrey Epstein and Daniel Siad are working in. This is someone who's redacted. I have reasons to suspect this might be Jean-Luc Brunel, although there's no way to be sure. But one thing's for sure is that it says, on Monday, I'll walk with Daniel all day and try to find new pussy for you.
Right.
So what's quite of a degrading way to refer to women. And also this opens the door to work being maybe less related to modeling and a lot more related to sex trafficking. As type of wording used.
And notice that whoever sent this said, we'll walk all day. So it sounds like they're literally roaming streets, these predators looking for young females to ensnare in whatever business they were doing. So it wasn't simply a question of working through modeling agencies and trying to meet, young, probably naive and impressionable females about the possibility of having a modeling career, but they were actually literally roaming streets looking for young women or girls to victimize. Well, I recall, Rami, at some point, I actually saw, I could be mistaken, in the many documents you've been reviewing, there were instances in which, if I'm not mistaken, Siad explicitly acknowledged that he was dealing with minors as young as like 15. Is that correct?
Yes. And this is part of in the Journal de Montréal, which I believe, because again, there's a lot of information coming out. This is one document I was not able to see directly, but this was reported by Journal de Montréal, who most likely quoted the France 2 investigation. And I will just find it. It says, I just found one incredible. She's 20 years old, but she looks younger. Comes from Latvia. This one, we found it. But then it says, he mentions that at least 5 potential recruits of 16 and 17 years old and 1 French girl of 15 years old being recruited. And these are clearly minors. And this is reported by Canadian media, probably reporting French media.
Okay. So tell us about the, what more can you tell us about the France 2 investigation? What are the main findings of France 2?
So France 2 has kind of 2 major revelations. The first one is from this girl, Juliette G, who in Paris 2003, she's approached by Siad on les Champs-Élysées, right? This big shopping district of Paris, and says Siad asked her if she's a model. And then he introduces himself as a modeling recruiter for work in New York. She agrees to fly to New York to meet Jeffrey Epstein not long after. And when she arrives in New York at Epstein's residence, Epstein asks her to undress herself. And then she immediately runs away from the residence of Epstein. So that's in the first half of this screenshot that you have shared, Dimitri. And then quickly after, according to France 2, at least 4 French women were recruited by Daniel Siad for Epstein. One of these French women was interrogated by the police, and she affirms to have been a sex slave for Epstein for multiple years. And then I've translated this snippet of the interrogation between the police and the woman who they redacted her name. And it says, the woman says, he wanted me to meet girls for Epstein, to give him massages, prostitution. He showed me photos of girls, they were Moroccan, and I had to tell him if they might appeal to Epstein. I told him no, that it wouldn't interest him because I knew what was really going on behind the scenes. I didn't want another girl to suffer. The police officer then says, should I understand that Daniel Siad's role was to act as a recruiter of women on Epstein's behalf and for sexual purposes? The woman replies, yes, and I think it wasn't only for Epstein, but for other important people as well.
That bears repeating, for other important people as well, because we've been told repeatedly, as ridiculous as it is, that these 1,200 plus, young females, many of them minors, and who knows what the real number is, were abused only by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So this is just another piece of evidence that there are many more powerful people, associates, influential associates of Epstein who were abusing these minors and very young women. What can you tell us about this complaint that you've put up on the screen, Rami?
So right after Daniel Siad's name came out, since the January 30 release of the Epstein documents, a woman recognized someone who had assaulted her in the 1990s. So this woman is called Ebba Carlson, and she was recruited. She was approached by Daniel Siad in the streets of Sweden in July 1990. And according to her testimony interview with BFM TV, Ebba says that she was invited to Cannes for a gathering of models at a fancy house by Daniel Siad. And when they got to the property in Cannes, the property was vacant and locked, and it turns out there was no one inside. Daniel Siad then brought her to the cabin in the backyard of the Cannes property, where Daniel Siad forcibly had sex with Ebba Carlson against her will on a dirty mattress and dirty blankets in this back house of this Cannes property. And she filed a complaint on the 10th of February, since Daniel Siad had initially given a fake name when they interacted in Cannes and when she was recruited in Sweden. And only after seeing his face in the documents was she able to recognize him and bring a complaint forward in Paris against Daniel Siad. And Daniel Siad, and she mentions, Ebba Carlson, that Daniel Siad had gave her death threats after Daniel Siad noticed that she was talking to people about the sexual assault and alleged rape of Ebba Carlson by Daniel Siad.
So this only emerged in the last couple of days. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. And just to clarify, so I know you know this, Rami, but just make sure our audience understands, we're dealing about unproven allegations. So these have not been yet prosecuted in a court of law and adjudicated by a court of law. But if the allegations are correct, it means that Siad was not only a recruiter, that he himself also was, to some degree, an abuser of these, or at least one of these young women, if not more. That is the allegation. So, Rami, I'd like to move on now because we've been focusing with, of course, obvious good reason, on the role that Siad played in recruiting young women, quite possibly, probably, for sex trafficking and abuse, not only by sexual abuse, not only by Epstein, but by his associates, certain of his associates. But it appears, based on what you have uncovered, that his role was not purely that of a recruiter of young females. Now, and before you, I'd like for you to talk about what you think, what other purposes he served in this massive, cabal of criminality that seemed to be run by Epstein. But before you get into that, can you also tell us, just based on the documents you reviewed, where was this man? What countries, what regions of the world was this man doing these things on behalf of Epstein and Brunel?
So the list of countries is just way too long to mention, but I took a couple of them down. We have here countries ranging from Morocco, Latvia, Sweden, Slovakia, Finland, South Africa, Cuba, Thailand. I'm forgetting some for sure.
Including Cuba.
Cuba. And even in Morocco, he says, when I talk to women in Berber, it gets them all excited. So he knows what he's doing, right? You don't need to smooth talk someone into modeling if that's what they truly want.
Have you found documents suggesting connections between this character and people, individuals in West Asia, for example, the Emiratis?
Yes. So first of all, he starts getting extremely involved with this organization called the Asian Peace Prize. I don't know necessarily how he gets involved with that group. It's just really all of a sudden in 2009, he gets kind of parachuted into a world of like diplomacy. He sits on the Asian Peace Prize committee. He becomes very close to Princess Mom. And he then gets a job for a company that Princess Mom created called the Royal Security, 1998. Royal Security Service, 1998. And his role is to work with foreign guests. Now, the emails mention foreign guests being high-end models that are coming to Thailand, but then kind of immediately after, he does these trips across Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand for many Qatari emirs, Qatari royalty, and one of them in particular being Khaled bin Nasser Al Masnad, brother of Moza, the consort of the Emir of Qatar. And this is on the 10th of June, 2013. 2 weeks later, on the 25th of June, 2013, the Emir of Qatar abdicates from the throne and transitions power to the future Emir of Qatar. And his dealings with governments and kind of security companies is, quite suspicious, to say the very least. So first of all, and this is going to be kind of in a weird order because I'm still trying to build like a little timeline here. There's a post on LinkedIn. So I was able to run a query. In Sweden, there's public records for people's residences. And he listed a residence in Sweden that happens to be the official residence of Mexico in Stockholm. And the Mexican embassy in Sweden had to put a post on LinkedIn, and I'll just post it right now, which says that the Mexican embassy denies that Daniel Siad is currently lives in the official residence of Mexico in Sweden, but admits that someone with the same name, worked at the residency from October 18, 2021 to November 30, 2022. This guy is dealing with high-profile individuals ranging from Jeffrey Epstein to royalty in Qatar to royalty in the Emirates to royalty in Thailand, and then needs to work as a cook in the Mexican embassy of Sweden. It really makes you wonder what exactly was this guy doing at the Mexican embassy.
Right.
He was nominated for the role of the diplomat. Let me see, where is this document?
While you're looking for it, I just have to say, and this is a personal observation, the more I learn about this disgraceful cabal of child rapists, the more I'm becoming convinced that royalty, so-called royalty, amongst what remains of the aristocracy in the West and other countries, pedophilia is rampant. It seems like every time we, open up a new document in the Epstein files, somebody who's a member of some so-called royal family is being implicated, whether we're talking about Norway, Britain, Thailand, and throughout West Asia. We know that the so-called Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, warmly embraced the friendship of the disgraced pedophile. So I'm just going to, again, throw this out as a personal reflection. I've been arguing for a long time we should abolish monarchies, even those that are supposedly simply of a purely ornamental nature, like the British monarchy is not supposed to actually exercise power. I believe that's not true, by the way. I believe the British monarchy has a lot more power in Britain than we are led to believe. But we should just abolish monarchies outright. They are a pestilence, a pox on humanity, and they are profoundly contrary to the basic notions of democracy and human equality. But that's my tangential rant for the moment. So Rami, please continue. You were talking to us about Siad's connections to royalty.
Yes, and in June 1st, 2017, he gets appointed to the role of diplomatic representative of La Kabylie to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. Kabylie this group in particular, the Gouvernance Provisoire de Kabylie, is a group that is trying to build a Kabyle state, specifically in Algeria, but I believe also in Morocco and Tunisia, possibly.
Right.
And he gets appointed to that role. And then in 2009, August 2009, we discovered that he is working for a organization called RISST, which is a Canadian-based company, and that company does fingerprinting access control. Basically, what it does is that you can kind of put your fingerprints on some device, and it basically gives you access or revokes access for you to access certain rooms, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a access control security company. His involvement with this company is mentioned multiple times in the Epstein files, notably in February 2010, where he talks that he's in Abu Dhabi to finalize a deal of Bioscan Edexcel, which I believe is one of the products that RISST, RISST, is selling.
So Rami, let's just drill down for a second on this corporation RISST, which is based in Toronto. Let's start by going to the email, I think it's back from 2009, that Siad sends, if I'm not mistaken, to Brunel, or to Epstein. He sends this to Epstein. Okay. And you can see there, hello, Jeffrey, here is the new company that I'm involved with, the website, http www.risst.ca. CA is Canada. So we're going to put up on the screen here the website of this company. It currently has a live website. Where did it go? There it is. Oh, sorry. That's RISST's website. Now, this company, I must say, strikes me as rather shady because you don't really I can't find anywhere on its website a meaningful explanation of what it does. Excellent services for your success. And then it says, RISST Tech patented BAID app services for customers, offers various industry sectors comprising of both and that's a typo. So it's kind of like an amateurish website. It should be comprised, not comprising, of both public and private uses such as, and then it lists a bunch of industries, but it doesn't really explain what this technology does. And if you look at media, if you click on media, it says 404 not found. This company has been around since 2009, 17 years, and they got nothing to put on their website from the media about what the company actually does. Now, if you go over to the About page, you will see that 2 individuals are mentioned. There's a little more information, although really not much, about what the technology of this company is. And the 2 individuals who are mentioned are, in the second paragraph, Canadian founders of Indian ethnicity, Arun Malhotra, who is said to have worked for a Big Four CPA accounting firm, and Harpal Dhaliwal, an experienced international entrepreneur in education, hospitality, and transportation. There's no indication. I mean, one guy says he's an accountant. The other guy says he's got expertise in education, hospitality, and transportation. They themselves are not stated here to have any technological formal training. What it says is they immediately engaged 2 other individuals, one who was a tech engineer and another one who is a marketing and Oxford graduate. So this guy's a marketing expert. So of the 4 people mentioned in this paragraph, only one of them actually has science and technology education, according to what they've written here. And that's Frank Gerlach. Okay. So in any case, Rami and I were most curious about what this company actually does and what their connections are, if any, currently to Daniel Siad. So yesterday, we made inquiries with the 2 founders of the company themselves. And it began with me calling the first founder identified on this website, Arun Malhotra. I called him yesterday about 5:05 p.m. on the phone number listed on the website, and which is a Toronto area phone number. And when he picked up, he did not state the name of the company. He himself picked up. It wasn't staff. It wasn't an assistant or receptionist. And rather than say, RISST, how can I help you? He just said hello. So it sounded very unprofessional to me. It didn't sound like actually he had any staff. And then as soon as he said hello, I asked if I was speaking to Arun Malhotra. He said, "Who is this?" At that point, I gave him my name. I said I was a freelance journalist in Montreal. I again asked if I was speaking to Arun Malhotra, and he confirmed that I was. And by the way, I'm reading from my notes of the conversation, which I kept right at that moment while I was talking to him. And I then told him that I was calling because the United States Department of Justice had released an email from 2009 in which an individual named Daniel Siad tells Jeffrey Epstein that RISST was a new company with which Siad had become involved. Those were the words you just saw Siad used. So then I asked Malhotra whether Siad was in fact involved with this company. And he said that Siad was not involved and had not become involved because he had blocked him. Those are the words that Malhotra used. He had blocked Siad from becoming involved in the company. So I asked Malhotra why he had blocked Siad, and he said he did so because Siad didn't have any money. So at that point, I asked Siad if, I asked Malhotra if what he was looking for was an investor, because he said the reason why he blocked him was that Siad didn't have any money. So obvious inference is that RISST was looking for an investor at that time. And he said, no. He said, I don't know what he wanted to do with our company. So then I asked Malhotra how he had met Siad, and he said that did someone introduce Siad to him, or did Siad contact him directly? Malhotra then said that no one had introduced Siad to him and that he had simply met Siad in Bangkok. I then asked Malhotra what Siad was doing in Bangkok when he met him, and he said he had no idea. At that point, I thanked Malhotra and ended the call. So this was unequivocally a denial by this co-founder of RISST that Siad had anything to do with this company, and that there was any ongoing relationship beyond the initial contact in Thailand in 2009. So subsequent to this, a little while after, an hour or two after I spoke to Malhotra, Rami called the other co-founder of the company, the individual by the name of Aliwal. So we have a partial recording of that call, which we're going to share with you. But before we do that, could you just give us a summary of your conversation with this guy, Rami, and then we'll play the recording.
So since I'm not in Canada, I ended up messaging him on WhatsApp. I called him, he didn't pick up. And then I dropped him a message, hey, I have questions about RISST. Please call me whenever you can. And he ends up calling me at around like 7:30 p.m. local time in Bogota. And I mean, I'm a bit caught off guard, and I'm a bit new to this whole investigative reporting thing. So I just asked him immediately, like, who's Daniel Siad, right? Like, and he's like, oh, he's an associate of ours. And I asked him, like, what? Because again, you just had told me, Dimitri, that he's not involved, that Daniel Siad was not involved, no longer involved. So I was a bit shocked to hear that he was still an associate. So I asked him, what kind of associate? Is he an employee, an investor, an owner? And he's like, no, well, he has kind of, we have an agreement where whenever he sells X amount of systems, gets X percentage and whatever. And this is something important to, I'm not sure if we put enough emphasis on this, is that this email that we had shown where he mentions to Jeffrey Epstein that he's involved now with RISST, this is dated from August 2009. According to Ontario's business registry, the company was registered in June 2009. So this is, I mean, this guy was here at basically inception.
Yeah, just sorry to pause there. We actually acquired the corporation, the formal corporation report from the province of Ontario where this company was set up. And we confirmed from that report, which we have in our records, that this company was established about a month before Siad emailed Epstein and said, I've become involved with this company. Is that coincidental? I doubt that. It sounds like, Siad had some role in this operation from the very get-go. So go ahead, Rami. Tell us the rest of this.
And then I asked Harpal Diwal if he can put me in touch with Daniel Amar Siad, because he was just talking so much that I was like, maybe he can slip and give me his phone number. And he's like, where are you currently? And I said, Paris. And he's like, oh, well, that's great, because Daniel Siad is in Paris right now, or he should be in Paris right now. And then when I ask him for the phone number again, he says, well, how about you give me a list of like what your request is, and I'll forward it to Daniel Siad. And he also mentions, I'm not sure if it's in the recording because we started recording later on during the call, but he mentions that they talk on a regular basis, once every 2 weeks, once a week, whatever. So this is kind of confirmation that there's still an agreement going on between RISST and Daniel Siad. And when I asked him what kind of involvement does he have, and he's like, well, he's taking care of certain markets. And I'm not sure if he mentioned it was Europe and the Middle East. Let's try to give it a little go here for the recording. Let's see.
Yeah, so this is the latter part of your conversation.
So you said that you'll give my contact to Daniel. Does he have an email I can send him an email to, or is it best to contact him through you?
You can send me information on WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. And you said he's in Paris. So I'll be in Paris for the next 3 weeks. So it would be good to meet up with him before then. I'll make sure to mention that in the message I sent you.
Where in Canada are you?
Now I'm in Paris, but I'll be flying to Montreal. Are you in Toronto?
I'm in Toronto, yes.
Okay. Your website doesn't explain much what the product is, so this is why I was curious to know if you could give me more information. But maybe we could, I don't know, maybe we could talk about this when we meet in Toronto.
Yeah, but right now I'm in Delhi. I'm in India.
Ah, you're in Delhi. Okay, so it's early for you.
No.
Okay, good. So, and by the way, so what does the product look like? I mean, because I'm curious, because I'm doing a lot of research development right now for my drone security.
Well, so it's basically software.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly software app. You can have an app on phone, computer, tablet, anywhere, any device. And but if you want to have access to any building or any office, any hotels, you can also have a physical device installed, the hardware.
Okay, so
Just a scanner, that's all.
So the biometric is checked on device rather than in the cloud.
It's both. It's embedded and also the cloud.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, okay. And are you planning on coming back to Toronto anytime soon?
Yeah. I should be in Toronto sometime after 23rd.
23rd of February?
After 2 weeks, yes.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Perfect. Then I'll send you my request so that you can make sure to forward it to Daniel, and then we can chat. Sounds good. I'll do that. Talk soon. Bye.
Okay, so
Did you hear that, Dimitri?
yes, I heard it. That was the recording. So in any event, for reasons we won't bore you with, we weren't able to record the whole conversation. But the point here is somebody's lying, because Malhotra told me that Siad, when I explained him specifically that I was calling because Siad had told Epstein back in 2009, just after this company was formed, that he was involved with the company. Malhotra said flatly, "Oh no, he's got blocked him. He has nothing more to do with the company." It sounds kind of like Howard Lutnick. We cut off all relations with him at that time.
Why would you lie?
Exactly. So this guy is clearly saying the opposite. There is some kind of ongoing association with Siad. He even knows where Siad is. He knows he's in Paris. So they're in regular contact, man. So one thing I want to ask you, Rami, before we talk about the implications of this, is in the first part, I still have no idea what this damn technology does. I heard him say, "Oh, you can put it on the laptop and the tablet and blah, blah, blah." You said something about drone technology, but I haven't seen anything on the website or heard anything from either of these guys about what this technology is. What is your best guess about what these guys are selling?
Now, first of all, the company doesn't have a LinkedIn profile. There's no employees, really. Usually people are really happy to push their LinkedIn profiles, record the number of employees they have. This is a very suspiciously quiet company. And it's involved in security, surveillance, biometric control access. I just came back, remember, Dimitri, from the Paris conference on state surveillance. And there was a lot of such companies, and Israel sent an entire delegation of cybersecurity companies and surveillance companies doing this type of work. First of all, I have no idea how this technology was developed. They have patents all over the world, including in Israel. And
Who told you that? How do you know they have patents in Israel?
He's mentioned it to me on the call. That was before
the part that we didn't record. He specifically said to you they have technology that's patented in Israel.
Yes.
And how did the Israel come up?
Did
you raise Israel, or did he raise Israel?
I never mentioned Israel.
Wow. And so who mentioned drones? Were you the first person to mention drones in the conversation? Or was he...
I started talking so much, I had to find an alibi or a reason. Reason. So I just came up with the first thing that came to my mind. They worked so well when we were at that Paris conference. Security and surveillance. So I was like, I'll use it again.
Okay, so how did he react when you first said drones? Did he say, "Oh no, we have nothing to do with that"? What What did he tell you about this technology, Rami? It's just like
simple control access. And then we had this email from Daniel Siad where he talks about closing a deal in Abu Dhabi. So it's a company with technology, but no employees, but sales to Abu Dhabi. In my opinion, and this is just an opinion and allegedly whatever, all these legal disclaimers that we need to have, I think this company is a front for Israeli technology. It's just easier to brand it under a Canadian Indian company. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the website, it talks about how they bring Western technology to India. I think it's just purely a front. And if you look at the LinkedIn of Harpal, he is part of like 7 organizations, X-School, X-Foundation. He's doing too many things. And it just looks like it's a pass-through, really.
Right.
And they put that under the name.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. We don't know if this company is we have no idea, really. I mean, we've told you the best information we have about what this company does. I think, Rami, you'll agree with me. We don't really know what this company does. We can't tell. So we're just throwing out possibilities. One is that it is involved because, as Rami said, this guy himself brought up technology patents in Israel. So, it's not unreasonable to think that this company has something to do with, selling or, whitewashing, somehow marketing Israeli technologies, possibly of a military application. Another possibility is that this company, and I'm not saying this is the case. I want to be clear. I have no idea. I'm only saying this because of what we know about Daniel Siad and the fact that Daniel Siad appears to have been involved with, at least based on what Harpal Dhaliwal told you, appears to have been involved with this company for quite a while. And we know that Daniel Siad was recruiting models for Epstein for a long time. Maybe this company has some involvement in that business. I don't know. We just, at the end of the day, I will say this, that Canadian law enforcement should be looking into this. Absolutely. Especially now with the allegations that have been leveled in courts in Europe against Daniel Siad, they should be investigating this company. And these emails going all the way back to 2009, why haven't they? I don't know that they have not investigated this company. Maybe they have and nothing came of it. It's possible. But if they have not investigated this company, despite the existence of these emails and the fact they've been in the possession of the FBI for years and Canadian law enforcement, cooperates extensively with US law enforcement, that's really inexcusable. There should be some kind of an investigation done into what this company is doing and what is Daniel Siad's role in this company. And potentially, does Jeffrey Epstein have anything to do with this company? Or did he have anything to do with this company? Did Jean-Luc Brunel have anything to do with this company? These are legitimate questions, and I doubt very much that Canadian law enforcement has thoroughly examined them.
And just to continue, between 2009 and 2013, I was able to trace back communications between Daniel Siad and the Honorable Mom Luang Rajata Rasri Jayankura, the great-great-granddaughter of the King Rama of Thailand. And then we see here in 2012, Mom, let's get organized for the arrival of Jeffrey's representative. Very important for us, for the foundation. I'll try to come earlier to be there before she arrives. So saying us, the foundation. And then that's basically him facilitating the trip between Jeffrey Epstein's foundation and Princess Mom. Mm-hmm. And this little story between Mom and Daniel becomes extremely heated. And then we have this screenshot over here of Mom, for some reason, says, "Dear Daniel, kindly remove my name and my daughter Valerie's name from the Asian Peace, it's ASEAN Peace Prize." I think this is, she has a typo there. ASEAN Peace Prize. We checked and it's still there. You said you will take it out and do that a few days ago, but still there. Thank you for your attention. And then this is quite a reasonable email, right? She doesn't seem to be too angry. I believe she has CC'd multiple people, and that may have pissed off Daniel Siad. And in this email, he says, "Dear Kosovo Rosaline, Rosaline, I believe, is the non-royalty name of Princess Mom. I haven't opened my emails from Hotmail for a long time. I just saw that you sent me this email and CC'd other persons who are not concerned. That's not kind of you. Send me messages and CC others. Told me to take your name. I never wanted you to be part of it. It's not polite from you to behave like a child with everything I did for you everywhere. Even this Kosovo title you have, you know exactly where it comes from. I even paid my ticket to be in Thailand, Philippines, to stay with you in Manila Airport nursery for 6 hours. Your memory is too short. You may be getting old. All that to introduce you to Mr. Kosovo, and now you became Miss Kosovo Consulate. I told you I was going to raise your name, and I did. You're not positive energy at all. I'm not upset. Now I'm discovering the real inside of you, but I keep this under Lord's hand. I forgive you. I am stronger than you spiritually, and list honest and sincere. Asian Peace Prize will go on with you or without you. With God's help, I'm in good faith. There are other positive people who deserve it. Are you jealous that I put Snow as chairwoman? Yes, because she deserves it. She's the one of the best persons I met through you, and I admire her. She's not fake like you, real Chinese with class and dignity. You're not acting as holy person or woman of peace. You're more woman making of troubles. You used me and my connections to get where you are with your title of Kosovo and other Paris connections, Hermes bags that you sold to make money behind my trust. Now you are upset trying to get through me to Qatar. I will speak to Fawaz regarding all that you did to me in Dubai and France. They will all know who you really are. All my connections in Paris and US. Even my friend Jeffrey realized that you are a fake person. I hope one of those days you ask yourself who you really are. And if you look at the top, the person CC'd is Fawaz Alawi. To you, Daniel, listen up. This is the last time you'll hear from me. Anyways, she just responds. There's not that much juice in that response, but all this to say, this guy is boasting that he was able to introduce her to Mr. Kosovo. These Qatari high-up people that she seems that he's using to kind of threaten her or to intimidate her. Oof. Wow.
So I just want to make sure we know who we're talking about here. I'm looking at a Guardian article from last year, which says that Thailand's Queen Mother Siddikit died at 93 after more than a decade out of public eye. Is that the person he's communicating with? The Queen Mother of Thailand? Is that what's your understanding as to who this person is exactly?
So this princess, she has a signature where she lists pretty much all of her credentials. I don't think she's that high up. It looks like it's someone who's kind of trying to get bigger within the Thai royalty, and she's leveraging Epstein, leveraging Daniel Siad to kind of make a name for herself. She's the founder of Harrow International School, Thailand, Her Serene Highness Princess Chalyo Varnamala Jayankura's Foundation, founder and chairwoman of His Serene Highness Prince Vishesh Saskati Jayankura, honorary chairwoman of Asian Affairs, the Voice of Southeast Asia, the honorary consul to the Republic of Kosovo and the Kingdom of Thailand, amongst many, many, many other.
Well, it sounds like we're not entirely sure which member of the Thailand royal family she is, but in any case, they appear. I don't read that email, Rami, and I could be misreading it, but I don't read that as her denying the allegations that Siad makes in his tirade. What he seems to say is, how dare you, talk to me that way? I'm not going to speak to you. You didn't have the courtesy to address me correctly. I'm not going to speak to you anymore. Did you see any denial on her part that, she, of any of the things that, Siad alleged in his tirade? And in particular, did you see any denial on her part that she knew that Siad was associated with Epstein?
Oh, she definitely knows. She wanted Epstein's money. Daniel Siad facilitated a transfer of funds from Epstein to Princess Mom. When I read this email, what I kind of conclude is that she's trying to cut ties with Daniel Siad. She says, remove me from the website of the Asian Peace Prize. This looks like someone who's trying to distance herself. And I think she's noticing that this person could be dangerous. She doesn't mind the threats of losing access to the Qataris, to all these people that Daniel Siad can bring to her. It seems like she's actually more scared. And in 2013, she says, do not ever talk to me again. That's what I would do if I'm scared from someone.
Right. Well, that is all very interesting. I certainly found it to be fascinating. Before I close this conversation out, and I do have a couple of remarks about all of this, I think very important about accountability, and in particular, Daniel Siad. But do you have anything else from terms of your review of the factual record, the Epstein documents, anything else you want to add about this character?
Of Princess Mom or Daniel Siad?
Siad.
Well, then there's this email over here which says, hello, Jeffrey, it's difficult when I'm not there. Sorry, we'll try next time. On my way to Thailand, then Vietnam with Khaled bin Nasser al-Masnid. He's the brother Mosa from Qatar. So again, he's part of this big network of people. And then there's a couple of interesting things here. One of them is on his LinkedIn account, he lists that he works for a company called Safe US.
Who? Siad lists this?
Siad, yes. And it's so it's a company that builds luxury bunkers for high-risk individuals. They start by doing confidential threat assessment to decide what kind of threats can someone be faced with. Mm-hmm. Then they do these master security blueprints and seamless invisible integrations. The way that I see this is an amazing way for Daniel Siad to get involved with high-profile individuals and get access to their private property under the gaze of doing these threat assessments. So I believe this is an amazing way for anyone doing intelligence work to just infiltrate high-profile individuals. And then in November, on the 29th of November 2016, he talks about being on his way to Havana to then fly to Santiago de Cuba to attend a funeral. He doesn't say whose funeral, but when you look at the dates and which funeral was going on around that time, it was the funeral of Fidel Castro. And if you look at Siad's kind of secret Twitter account, he's bashing Cuba. But anyways, that's a side note. And he says that in January 2017, he says he talks about being in Cuba with Joe and that they were both very excited to have discussions with government officials that they had met with. Now, I think it's important also to talk about what are Daniel Siad's ties to Israel. Well, first of all, in an email to Jeffrey Epstein, Daniel Siad mentions that he witnessed someone who was able to produce kind of these medical miracles that impressed his daughter, who is a nurse in Caesarea, which is close to Haifa in so-called Israel. He runs a Twitter page called @THILELY, which reposts Benjamin Netanyahu tweets, pro-Israel commentary. And he even posts his own understanding of what's going on with the Epstein saga. He posts in Swedish, French, and English, and he has dozens of tweets calling Cuba a dictatorship. He had attended Castro's funeral and was happy to meet government officials there. His cousin, Ahmed Siad, who goes by the name of Richard Siad, in his book, The Kabylie à Paris, he talks about being close friends with President Abdelmajid Tebboune. And Daniel Siad has an entire post saying, let me see where it is right now, where he calls Ahmed Siad his cousin. And in this book, Ahmed Siad refers to being a secret agent for France and that he had tried to facilitate connections between Israel and Algeria. And then, of course, there's the company RISST that we had mentioned earlier, which has a patent in Israel. The more I read about Daniel Siad, the more questions that I have, such as there are pictures circulating of him with Benjamin Rothschild and Ariane Rothschild. He's just like Epstein. No one's talking about his connections with government officials, but they're all talking about, which is very important, his allegations of sexual assault. But there's a clear connection with these government officials? Why is he so attracted to sit on these peace committees? These are peace prize committees, such as the Gussie Peace Prize Committee, the Nobel Peace Prize Committee that he tried to get a board on the trustees, and also the ASEAN Peace Prize Committee. How did he get into such powerful circles? How did he meet Epstein? Mm-hmm. And how many more Daniel Siads are there? How many more parallel operations are there going on? Not necessarily tied to Epstein, but this looks like a clear, I do not want to, I mean, I think it's an important discussion to have if he's part of any intelligence networks, and if so, which one? And then the more we analyze Daniel Siad, the more we realize that there's kind of a modus operandi that is replicated amongst other people, where they try to infiltrate these committees, infiltrate people of interest through these kind of humbling jobs, such as being a cook for the Mexican ambassador or model scouting. And the other question is, how does Daniel Siad find the time to be sitting on all these committees, doing sales for these surveillance companies, and also doing scouting? Which begs the question, are they just all one job?
Right. Wow. Lot to unpack and digest, and we're going to follow this story closely. I think based on what we've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours, other media outlets, particularly in the Francophone world, are becoming particularly focused on this very intriguing and frankly shady character, Daniel Siad. And we're going to follow this story closely. I just want to say this: if there is credible evidence that this man was facilitating the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein or associates of Jeffrey Epstein, and there certainly is plenty of reason to be suspicious about that, it is outrageous that here we are in 2026 and he's hanging out in Paris and apparently, conducting business as usual. If this man is culpable criminally in any way, he ought to have been held accountable a long time ago. But we don't know for sure that he is, and we'll continue to get to the bottom of this as best we can. Great work, Rami. Pleasure talking to you tonight. The story continues. We're signing off now from Bogota and Montreal on February 11th, 2026.